You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. A week from Monday, we'll be at SEC Football Media Days in Atlanta. As a lead up to SEC Football Media Days, I want to take a look position by position and give you a thumbnail of each LSU position group, returning starters, newcomers that are of interest, who to watch, a thumbnail of each position group as we move through the remainder of this week, all of next week, leading into SEC Football Media Days as they ramp up to that. And then, of course, when they leave SEC Football Media Days, got about a week, and then boom, they report fall camp, and it's time to go. So let's start today by taking a look at the quarterbacks. Because where else would we start if we're doing a some type of overview or preview of football team, then the most important position in team sports? This is a gigantic question mark, maybe the biggest question mark in the entire SEC, because if LSU gets an affirmative answer to who is going to be the starting quarterback, they could be the biggest surprise team in the SEC. Leaving spring, here's what Brian Kelly had to say about his signal callers.
You know, we didn't clear up anything with the quarterback today. We probably made it even more difficult. Brennan was good today, right? I mean, he does really good things with the football. He knows the offense. He's smart. He takes care of it. Nussmeier, we talked about Nussmeier's athletic ability, his arm strength. Daniels is really, really fast, and Walker's got one of the strongest arms on the team. So I don't know if we cleared up anything there, and we know defensively that front is really, really good. The safeties tackled so much better today.
I believe him. He's got a tough decision to make. I absolutely believe him. I don't think he knows who the starter is going to be today. Miles Brennan is entering his 6th season. Amazingly, Miles Brennan was recruited by Les Miles and Cam Cameron, y'all. Let me say that again. Miles Brennan committed to Les Miles and Cam Cameron. Showed up in 2017 under Matt Canada, played in 6 games. His most action was against Syracuse through his first touchdown, against Troy, where he started the second half of that disastrous game and then really didn't play again until the second half of the Alabama game. Only played in 1 game in 2018 in the finale, again, the home finale against Rice. He took the red shirt that year, of course, because it was Joe Burrow and they had missed on recruiting a high school quarterback, so they're trying to reset their cycle. And then in 2019, he got to play in 10 games because LSU kicked the crap out of everybody, and so he got a lot of mop-up duty. Finally got a chance to start in 2020, started 3 games, put up some gaudy numbers, but really never looked very comfortable or confident in that position, and then got injured. Missed the remainder of the season. We know what happened last year with the injury a couple of days before the start of training camp. So Miles Brennan has played over 5 seasons in 20 games, but he's only started 3 times, which means he's not the most experienced quarterback on LSU's roster. That, in fact, would be Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, throughout his career, has started 29 football games. He's thrown for more than 6,000 yards, 32 touchdowns. He's rushed for over 1,200 yards in his career. By a mile, Jaden Daniels is the most experienced quarterback on LSU's roster. And it begs the question that if you were comfortable with the guys you had, why would you bring in Jaden Daniels? Again, it's not to say that he's absolutely going to be the guy, but it's negligent to ignore how good and the potential he has, which is what Brian Kelly talked about after spring.
I think he brings more than extending plays, actually. He was in an offensive structure and system which was really built towards ball control this past year, playing to a very good defense. We think that there's a lot that has not been tapped into with his ability to be a dual threat quarterback. He's got arm talent, he's got a high IQ, and he can run the football. He's a talented runner of the football. He wasn't asked to do that. He was more of an extender of plays. We think that there's much more to it than what he's brought over the last couple of years.
Ian Book, Deshaun Kaiser, Everett Golson. When you look at the most successful quarterbacks that Brian Kelly had at Notre Dame, they all had the ability to run the football, either calling their own number or extending plays. Jaden Daniels fits that mold. It's easy to see why they wanted him here. The other guy that can clearly do that is Garrett Nussmeier. And that's the guy that has kind of become a little bit of a fan favorite, which is somewhat perplexing to me. I understand that you like the thing you don't know, but we saw Garrett Nussmeier last year, and the last we saw of him, quite honestly, was not a good thing. When he could have played in the bowl game and decided he didn't want to maintain his redshirt year. By the way, I completely support his decision to do that. My contention was LSU should not have even played in that bowl game. It was meaningless and mindless to take 39 scholarship players and start a receiver in a bowl game, water under the bridge, spilled milk, all that stuff. But Nussmeier could have played, chose not to, and got a lot of fan criticism, which is why it's so interesting that now he's kind of become the fan favorite as people look at sort of the shiny new toy and the thing that you don't know that could have the high ceiling. We saw Nussmeier play in 4 games a season ago, and in none of those games was he particularly dynamic. He played the most extended amount of his career in the game against Arkansas, where we saw Max Johnson start, then Nussmeier came in and played the remainder of the game. He was 18 of 31 for 179 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, and LSU inexplicably lost that game 16-13. It was a boneheaded decision by Ed Ogeron. If you stick with Max Johnson, you win that game. And the outlook of your season is, I'm not going to say decidedly different, but you feel much better about the way you finish with wins against Arkansas and Texas A&M than the way that you actually did. But for a guy that's played only 4 games in his career, he's got an awful lot still to prove, and he still has that, I hate to say because it's so cliche, the gunslinger mentality, but he's got to be able to purge himself of mistakes, and that's something that we won't know that he'll be able to do until he actually gets on the field. But will Brian Kelly choose to go with a more sure thing in one of the veteran guys or the young guy in Garrett Nussmeier? What we know he won't do is play Walker Howard. Walker Howard, of course, is the 4-star freshman, 5-star by some services, whatever you want to say. ESPN had him as the number 1 dual-threat quarterback in the country. He is a straight baller. Walker Howard, one of the best football players in the country, one of the best quarterbacks Louisiana has produced in more than a decade. Got to see him play at St. Thomas More, and LSU is going to be very excited. One thing that always stands out to me about Walker is a conversation I had last year with his dad, Jamie, who, of course, played at LSU. And Jamie Howard said, and Jamie, you have to know, is never the guy that's just going to pump up his kid. That's just, Jamie loves his kids. He's very supportive dad. He's a great man. But he's not the guy that's he's not going to Lonzo ball it, if you know what I mean. If anything, he'll be a 180 of that. The quiet dad who'll sit in the stands and never say anything. But Jamie Howard on air said, LSU will be better because Walker's on the team, even if he never takes a snap. That's the kind of guy who's a team-first mentality. And when you have that with the elite skill set, you can be special. Walker Howard is going to be special at LSU. I just don't think we're going to get to see it this year. What I do think we will see, and I'll give you a prediction, I think Jaden Daniels is going to start the opener against Florida State. He fits the mold of what Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock want in a quarterback. And again, they wouldn't have gone and gotten him if they were content with what they had or they didn't like the skill set that Jaden Daniels has. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels is going to start all season. As a matter of fact, I'll make 2 predictions. Not only will Jaden Daniels start the opener in my prediction, I think all 3 quarterbacks, Daniels, Brennan, and Nussmeier, will all start a game in 2022 for LSU, and all will play significantly. Brian Kelly was asked if he would play 2 quarterbacks. Here was his answer.
I've played 2. Yes. It's not easy. I mean, it's not easy. It has to be a situation where, you know, you have to do it. I'd much rather just play 1 quarterback and you know, try to fit the offense to their traits, you know, over somebody else. The 2 quarterback situation is so difficult to manage.
Try 3, which I think is what he's going to have to face at some point this season. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.